Welcome back to the Helium channel. My name is Tim. I'm going to be talking to you today about placing a helium miner and antenna on a telescoping flagpole. So this project is for a location that is out in the suburbs. We're trying to build out into new areas. So what I'm going to do is go through this PowerPoint presentation that I created and give you an idea of the construction. You're welcome to look for me on the Discord channels under the name @Loquacious. But without further ado, let me go ahead and go through this. I'm going to step out. So these are some of the items that you're going to be using. Telescoping flagpole. I got this from Harbor Freight. I don't know if different countries, but you could just use a standard pole, I suppose. Also, this is a solar powered light. Solar panels, lights on the bottom. Turn it on if your country has a requirement to have light on a flag 24 hours a day, then you want to do this. This flagpole is, when we get done with it, once it's kind of up, it's kind of up. So getting the flag on and off every day would be a giant pain in the rear end. So you're going to need a helium antenna. I have an assortment here that I was selecting: a 5.8, an 8.0, a 12. I selected the 12. You're going to need an LMR 240 cable because this is under 25 feet. Usually is what I recommend, is to do a 240. People talk about it on the Discord channels, but it actually allows a better signal pass through than the LMR 400. You're going to need a stainless steel rod, and that's what's going to attach these pieces together. And we're going to construct an antenna to actually go up on top here. You're going to need stainless steel washers, bolts, nuts, stainless steel screws, some plumber straps, which I'll show you in a little bit what those are, and some PVC fittings. So moving on to the next slide. The solar powered light will go on top. If you can see just barely right there, there is a screw in, and that bolt that screws in there will go through here. And then as you'll see in other slides, how we do it. So on the top of the flag, because you're going to need space for a hole for the antenna cable to come out, you're going to need to reposition this top flag. If you're planning on using the flag piece, you're going to need to position this down away from it, which means you're going to this normally would be up much higher, so it actually is you're going to have to drill that hole. You'll notice that I marked it exactly where I wanted it to go. So the next thing I did was use my living room because it was the longest space that I had to actually measure this out. You're going to determine the length of the cable. In my case, I actually made a mistake. You'll see what that is, where I actually have a 25-foot cable. I could have used a 30-foot cable, but instead what I ended up doing, as you'll see, is I end up drilling a hole here, but I end up moving it back up to the next section up. Whoops. Go back here. I use these great drill bits. They're awesome. They start small and they get bigger. So pretty much we're going to look at where we're going to go here, determine exactly where we want it to be. This is a plastic cap that actually goes down inside there. So that will come off at one point. But you can see I drilled the hole. I drilled it at an angle, and then I filed it to make sure that I had a nice smooth surface, because the cable can tend to go in and out as you put the flagpole up. And you can see there, it's kind of how rough it is, and you'll want that to be smoothed out. Cable does travel through, especially the bottom hole. It'll travel through quite a bit if you're telescoping the pole. So on the bottom one, same thing. This is the bottom hole. I cut it actually in the lower section. These are steel posts or sections, so file it again. There's what it looks like. Again, you'll need to decide which section that you actually want. If you have a long enough cable, I would say go to the bottom. That way when you can pretty much telescope. I'd go all the way to the bottom. You'll see one more thing here on this. This is goes in the ground. It gets buried in the ground. It's a sleeve. And your cable has to be able to come out right down there and then come back up to the box. This section, if it telescopes down, you have to stop it so that it doesn't actually run into the cable. When you are running the cable through also, you'll have to collapse it all the way. You'll have to have a long drill bit, because in the bottom of these, in the first couple of sections, there's a plastic plug, and you've got to open that up so you can get the cable through. But see, if you can see, I put a mark right there so that I knew where this piece was going to go, where I wanted my hole. But like I said, I ended up having to move it up higher because I didn't have enough cable. So this is what I was talking about. These are stop screws that I put in, so when the next section comes down, it doesn't go into the actual cable, cut into the cable. As a matter of fact, in most of these sections, you're going to put set screws at one point. These telescoping poles have a tendency, with a lot of wind, they will actually, they lock. You screw them one way, they loosen, screw them the other way, they tighten up. But the wind, for some reason, will wiggle it so that it'll come undone. So you'll want to put some set screws. Make sure they're all stainless steel. And this is where I said, turns out my 20-foot cable, 25-foot cable was too short. So I cut a new hole in the second section. Okay, you'll have lots of set screws, like I said, some there, some there. There'll be some at the top that hold this piece back in. So when this piece was cut, I pulled it out and I went and bought a stainless steel shaft. And underneath this piece, which I don't have a picture of, there is the shaft goes through, and another one of these bolts goes on, or I'm sorry, nuts go on and locks in there. This one screws down. This is the plate where the solar panel rests on top, and then there's another nut, as you'll see in one of the other pictures, that holds the solar panel and the antenna holder on. So there you go. This is the completed flagpole with the cable inside and the mount ready to go. And so then I moved on to the next section. In a previous video, I created a box. You can see I cut a vent hole. I put a cover over it so the louvers go down. This is the top of the box. Rain comes down, doesn't get in there. There is no fan on the inside. The miner sits behind there. It's a Panther X2 behind there. So the air gets drawn across it. Then what I did was I just used some materials that I had around the house. I found these T straps that I had and decided, well, I'll use them. But in looking at this, I had to raise it up above this black plate and leave some spacing. You'll notice that I reverse bolted this one versus these ones go the opposite direction, because these will actually run up against, or apparently I did one, didn't do the other. Just noticed that. But you know, they ride up against the pole. Actually, I think this one was by design. It was to keep the pole straight and the box straight on the pole. So these are those spacers that I put in to keep it up off of the back of the box. This shows you how I attach the two T's together. I'm sure there's probably a much better way to do this, but like I said, I was repurposing materials that I had around the house. Actually, I had the flagpole too as part of another project. But so here's the miner attached to the flagpole. So we are pretty much ready to go with that. Last thing to do is to actually attach the antenna, and we're going to temporarily attach it, but that's a side view of what it looks like. So then I took some strap, this is called plumber strap, that I had sitting around for, it's got to be, I don't know, 18 years it's been around. It's part of a kid's project. And I bent this at an angle using a vise, and you can see I mounted it on there. It's semi-loose, there, but the antenna is going to sit in here. So there's another side view. Again, all stainless in there so that you don't have any rusting factor. So here is how I attach the antenna. So the antenna is right over here. I put it in. If you notice, there's some orange in there. That's my deal where I put electric tape on top of the metal, so there's no metal to metal contact. I have screws on all 4 sides, and these are lined up with the slots on the antenna to hold it in place. Again, more stainless. I'm using PVC here. You'll see that these are actually not glued together because at some point you might need to change out antennas. But there's another set of screws that go right there. There's kind of the remnants of one there. So there you go. There's the hole for that. Joins this and fastens these ones together. And here is the lightning arrestor inside. I used a PVC tube. I believe this is 1-inch tubing. I did this so that I could take the ground if I wanted, come out and attach it to the flagpole, or run it all the way down. I'm not really crazy about running it down. My idea is I don't really think I'm going to have an issue with electricity, but at least if it comes out and it screws into the flagpole and then out of the bottom of the flagpole into a rod pounded into the ground, probably should be okay. If not, it was an expensive miner gone bad. Okay, so here's how I mounted the PVC fittings to the, and this is all loose so that when I transport it I could actually take this apart. I didn't have a vehicle long enough to carry this thing. It's 11 feet without the antenna on it, so that's what that looks like. And then I kind of pulled it apart, attached the cable, wanted to make sure everything looked good. I made my bend in the LMR 240, make sure everything fit nice and nice, but again you can see things are loose, so I can transport it. And there you go. That's what it looks like by day. That is about 6 feet up, the box is. And then you can see the solar light is there. This is with it, what it looks like at night when it's on. Pretty cool. So anyways, if you have any questions about this project or other ideas, you think you'd like to get some help on projects like this, you're welcome to reach out to me on the Discord, Panther X Discord, the Helium Discord. Just look me up at Loquacious. I appreciate you spending some time with me on this video and supporting the channel. Please press the like button. Make a comment if you would. Let me know if you like the video, if you have other ideas for videos. I'll be happy to try to fit those in. And then, of course, if you're not subscribed, and hit the doorbell. No, sorry, the bell, so you get notifications when I do more videos. Thank you for watching the Helium group and the Helium YouTube channel.